Well, y'all, when life gives you lemons, you just get arrested. Okay, listen, Don Lemon was just arrested and he was indicted by a grand jury. I want to throw that out there really quickly before the propaganda machine starts spinning in like an insanely high RPM. He was indicted by a grand jury of his peers. It was not the DOJ that just came forward and Pam Bondi at the request of the Gestapo, that is Trump, to go arrest journalists, which is going to be the narrative. He was indicted by a jury of his peers because he committed a crime and then recorded the entire thing. We're going to walk through the entire thing because, honest to goodness, when you thought the propaganda couldn't spin faster, it's about to. And another activist who invaded the same church also caught a little bit of a warrant and an arrest. It turns out when you FAFO against other people's rights, you can't really cry, I'm a journalist, I'm a journalist. No, you just committed a crime with a camera. There's a difference. I'm going to walk through the entire thing. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. Guys, literally, if you thought this weekend was going to chill on the news cycle, you were wrong because this just happened. I mean, my goodness gracious. Don Lemon was arrested by federal agents last night for covering the ICE protest at the church in Minnesota. Okay. For covering the ICE protest at the church in Minnesota. You mean actively taking part in it and actively accosting the members there, commenting on how righteous the protesters were when they were interfering with the rights of the congregation? You mean that time? Yeah, you can already see it right here. He's been arrested for covering an ICE protest. Bull crap. He was involved. He took active part and recorded himself doing it. And then a grand jury indicted him. It was not the DOJ targeting a journalist. The grand jury goes, yeah, he did that crap. All right, let's keep on going because as you would expect, the pearl clutching is everywhere. It's all over everything. FBI Director Kash Patel. Early this morning, the FBI and the Homeland, or the, I can never remember what HSI, it's investigation partners, arrested four individuals in connection to the January 18th coordinated targeting of City's Church in Minnesota. Don Lemon, Traherne Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamel Lundy. I'm going to show you the video of Georgia Fort getting arrested as well with a nice little warrant, also from a grand jury. Because these people actively impeded others' rights. The religious freedom was interrupted by their protest. They went into a church uninvited and they interfered with these people's religious freedoms. But whenever you do anything against other people, it's for a just cause. But when something happens to you, you're being targeted. Okay, we're going to keep on going because, again, the FAFO on this one is strong. So here's MS Now, of course, pearl clutching and doing all the things that they can do because apparently the end of our republic is at hand because a absolute jerk walked into a church and recorded the whole thing, and now he's a journalist. Okay, watch this.
The House.
Michelle, we have new information. Lisa's gathering here. Lisa?
The Attorney General has issued a post, Mika, to X this morning confirming the arrest of Don Lemon and I count 1, 2, 3 others. This is her statement. At my direction early this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon, Traherne Cruz, Georgia Fort, who is the independent journalist Michelle was just referring to, and Jamel Lundy in connection with, and again, this is her quote, the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. More details soon. I will try and see if we can see those charges now unsealed in a Minnesota federal court now that the Attorney General of the United States has confirmed that 4 arrests have been made in addition to the 3 from last week.
And 2 of these are journalists, again, Don Lemon and Georgia Fort, allegedly, who has posted about her arrest as well. We can try.
And I've got that footage for you in a second, too. But here's the thing. If I go out and I rob a bank, but I'm holding a camera in my hand, that doesn't mean that I'm a journalist. If I'm going to take part in illegal activity, infringing upon the rights of others, but I'm holding a camera, it doesn't mean that I'm a journalist and I'm immune from any type of prosecution. I don't do that, therefore I haven't been arrested. A grand jury has not indicted me for breaking the law because I didn't do it. It's very, very simple. But Don Lemon is in a position where he actively took part in this, and he was out there looking for clicks and some kind of shock value, and now he's FAFO'd. And the other people, I'm going to show you in a second, getting warrants up at their house, it's really interesting how defensive and aggressive they feel they are being treated when it's on their against their terms. But when they go in other people's churches, then it's perfectly fine. They're just protesting. Yeah, the entire thing is rife with irony. All right, let's keep on going. Again, I want to highlight this because this is going to be the big push from the left. A judge did not block the DOJ from charging and arresting Lemon, said Megyn Kelly. Here is exactly what the chief U.S. District Court said. If the government does not like the magistrate judge's decision, it can present its case to a grand jury and seek an indictment, which is exactly what the DOJ did, and a grand jury found probable cause to charge Lemon with multiple crimes. Do I need to zoom in a little further? Here we go. Grand jury found probable cause. That's not the DOJ. That's not the AG. That's not Donald Trump. That's not the FBI director. That is a grand jury that has indicted him because he did this. Let's go over to Fox News. They're also covering this, and then I'm going to show you the irony of all ironies for the woman freaking out after going into someone's church and interrupting their service. But when the agents knock on her door with an actual warrant, oh, it's very overly aggressive. I got all that for you. Come in here 1 second.
Alert, journalist Don Lemon has been arrested in connection with an anti-ICE protest at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Bill Malusian joins us now with more on this breaking news. Hey, Bill.
Yeah, Charlie, good morning to you. Our colleague David Spunt and I getting this breaking news from multiple law enforcement sources just minutes ago, confirming that former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles just after midnight this morning at a hotel. This obviously all in connection with that storming of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota by that group of anti-ICE agitators. Now remember, the feds had gone to judges to try to get Don Lemon arrested before. They went to a magistrate judge in Minnesota who didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to a judge above him. He didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to an appeals court. They also decided not to sign off for an arrest warrant for him. So there was experts who were predicting that perhaps the feds would go to a grand jury. It remains to be seen if that's what happened here, but we can confirm that Don Lemon was arrested in Los Angeles.
Okay, it went to a grand jury. Y'all, this is not what they're going to frame it as, but don't worry. Don't let facts get in the way of the emotional narrative framing. Here is the video of a woman recording herself with the door being knocked on by federal agents with an actual warrant. Listen to this. Again, I want you to pay close attention to how offended she feels and how targeted she feels and how aggressive the style of arrest warrant was. This is the same woman who invaded a church and was screaming at children and women, and they were all crying because she was calling them Nazis. So that's what we're dealing with, but someone is aggressing against her. Okay, all right, let's just keep going. More audio is going to come in a second. There's the agent. Hold on a second. So they're talking through a window right now.
This is really scary. There's kids in the house. You guys have not been really friendly in the community. And to me, this seems a little, can I finish, sir? Can I finish? Can I finish? Get your phone. This seems a little bit aggressive to have all these cars in our cul-de-sac. 2, 3 agents, and now I saw the one disappear to the back.
All right. So this is what I'd like to highlight about this. Come here. This is the exact same woman who went into a church with multiple people yelling and screaming at women and children. And now when 2 to 3 agents knock on her door with a warrant for arrest from a grand jury indictment, that's very aggressive. There's children in the house. There were children in that church. But that didn't matter then. But now that there's an actual arrest warrant, now there are children and you're being very overly aggressive, says the woman who was actively screaming at women and children and families in church, interrupting the service and calling them Nazis and how could they not stand with their neighbors. Yeah. It's amazing how that reverses really quickly, isn't it? Let's keep on going.
So to me, this is a little aggressive to just serve a warrant. Slide the warrant. Let me see the warrant. Okay. And that, to me, what I have been told, is not a judicial warrant that has me to have to open the door for you.
So now you're going to say that it's not the warrant for arrest, even though there's agents at your door saying there's a warrant for your arrest. Okay, this is going to go great. Anyway, as predicted, Gavin Newsom, Putin would be proud. Yeah, no. These things have consequences, and wouldn't you know it, shocker among shocks. Oh my goodness gracious, look. They interrupted another church today. Look, this is in the same place. Okay, you're getting the idea, right? So Don Lemon and a bunch of activists went in there and they got in the faces of a bunch of women and children and families. Then that wasn't aggressive. That was for the rights. That was for the protest and First Amendment. Then when they get the arrest warrants and they get indicted by the DOJ and they get indicted by grand juries, indicted by the grand jury and then arrested by the DOJ, then it's overly aggressive. And oh my God, they're a journalist. And oh my God, how could you do this? Maybe you shouldn't have done this in the first place. Maybe. I don't know. I can't wait for this to devolve. I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. Later.